Hello guys, welcome back to LR Anime. Guys, please like the video and subscribe to my channel. Today is explanation of Renegade Immortal Part 219 to 221 based on novel. So let's start. Wang Lin didn't display this violent shift in emotion. His eyes gradually calmed, but behind this calmness was a flame that was burning brightly. He wasn't the first to step forward, he waited for others to state their requests before he slowly walked forward. He clasped his hands at Master Flamespark and respectfully said, "Junior has a request." Master Flamespark looked at Wang Lin and calmly said, "Shu Mu, speak your request." Junior's request is for a broken nascent soul to reform flesh and awaken. As Wang Lin spoke, there was no change in his voice. However, his heart pounded as if it was going to burst out of his chest. "Oh!" Master Flamespark's eyes narrowed. He pondered a bit before looking at Old Man Xiong and saying, "This request isn't difficult. Since ancient times, the Xiong family has had a spell that is said to be very magical. It should be able to meet your requirements. How about it, fellow cultivator Xiong?" Old Man Xiong faintly smiled. He admired Wang Lin a lot. He smiled and said, "Shu Mu, I presume the nascent soul you speak of had their body destroyed and suffered serious injuries. This caused them to go into sleep. This shouldn't be difficult. Take out the nascent soul and let this old man examine it first." Wang Lin silently pondered. Li Muwen was very important to him and was irreplaceable. She was also someone he had to protect, and at this moment, he hesitated. He raised his right hand and touched his bag of holding. A small ball of light immediately flew out. In the first 3 days at the Thunder Celestial Temple, Wang Lin had already taken out Li Muwen's nascent soul from the heaven-defying bead when no one was around. He had sealed her with the annihilation restriction so her nascent soul wouldn't dissipate. All of it was for this moment. Holding the ball of light with his right hand, Wang Lin's left hand touched it. The ball of light opened up like a flower, revealing the nascent soul cultivating inside. This nascent soul was Li Muwen. Her face was pale and she was sitting in the lotus position. Her whole body gave off a sense of weakness, as if she would dissipate completely if the wind blew on her. There was a layer of light on her body. This made Li Muwen look very holy. She looked like a celestial that had descended from the heavens and landed in Wang Lin's hand. Although she was asleep and never awake, people were still able to feel Li Muwen's gentleness and kindness. Her appearance was very beautiful. Even though she wasn't as stunning as Liu Mai or as bright as Red Butterfly, in Wang Lin's heart, what did those things count for? Back then, Lin Muwen aged rapidly in his arms. Everything turned to ash and disappeared. Only one thing echoed inside Wang Lin's heart. "Even if the heavens want you to die, I'll take you back." For this sentence, Wang Lin came to the All-Heaven Star System. For this sentence, he stood before the Thunder Celestial Temple. When Wang Lin took out Li Muwen's nascent soul, Shi Zifeng, who had her eye locked onto Wang Lin, almost collapsed. Her face was pale, her body trembled, and she felt her heart shatter. So it turns out. He went through all these tests for this woman. Tears came out from Shi Zifeng's eyes. As she looked at the nascent soul in his hand, her heart ached and she felt bitterness in her heart. To have her lover do all of this, although her nascent soul is damaged and asleep, this is happiness. Qing Shui looked at Wang Lin and the nascent soul in Wang Lin's palm before a hint of melancholy appeared in his eyes. Many years ago, he also had a woman he would guard with his life. It was just. Qing Shui's eyes revealed agony. When Old Man Xiong looked at Li Muwen's nascent soul, his smile froze. As he looked at Li Muwen's nascent soul, he slowly frowned and asked, "How long has this nascent soul slept for?" Wang Lin took a deep breath. At this moment, his determination from his 1,000 years of cultivation was extremely fragile. Suppressing his trembling mind, he softly said, "Nearly 700 years. Old Man Xiong nodded slightly and said, "It looks like you spent a lot of effort to preserve this nascent soul for 700 years. However, 700 years is too long. How can a nascent soul cultivator survive for 700 years? Not to mention the fact that she has lost her flesh and only her nascent soul remains. And above all else, this nascent soul is slowly dying. Shu Mu, change your request." Old Man Xiong sighed. He wanted to help this Shu Mu, so he gave him a chance to change his request. Old Man Xiong's voice was like a sharp needle that mercilessly stabbed Wang Lin's heart. This kind of pain felt as if the world before him had collapsed. There was only desolation and nothing remained. This pain caused Wang Lin's will to live to fade. Those words echoed in his mind again and again like thunder. Is there really no way? Wang Lin's eyes were filled with extreme sadness as he looked at Li Muwen. Old Man Xiong let out a long sigh. He took another careful look at Li Muwen's nascent soul and shook his head. If this old man's guess isn't wrong, she died due to her lifespan being up and you used a special method to extract her nascent soul and then nourished it. However, just as the nourishment was about to succeed, an accident happened at the key moment. This made it so her nascent soul couldn't withstand it. Although you saved her, the truth is that she is already on the verge of death. I can't help you with my strength. She is someone who should have died already. Forcibly making her stay is a painful matter for you and her. The only thing I can do is help you send her to the reincarnation cycle. Wang Lin's body flickered and he retreated a few steps. His face was pale and he coughed out blood and revealed a miserable smile. He looked at Li Muwen's nascent soul in his hand. His memories of Li Muwen flashed before his eyes. The feeling of his heart aching filled his body. This pain pierced his bones and shredded his heart. 2 streams of tears came from Wang Lin's eyes. In his lifetime, the amount of time he shed tears could be counted with one hand. Looking at Li Muwen, an unyielding flame ignited inside Wang Lin's heart. Even if the heavens want you to die, I'll take you back. This is my commitment to you. Wang Lin raised his right hand and grabbed Li Muwen's nascent soul. The seal immediately shrank and formed a small ball once more. Old Man Xiong silently pondered. After a long time, he suddenly said, "It isn't that there is absolutely no method." Wang Lin's body trembled as if tens of thousands bolts of thunder had exploded in his body. At this moment, all of his energy focused in his eyes as he looked at Old Man Xiong. However, the price for this method is too great. The key to why this woman can't survive is that her lifespan is up. If you can expend her lifespan, there might be a chance. This spell is called the Chishi spell. However, I am unable to use it, only the ancient ancestor that is in closed-door cultivation can use it. Shu Mu, I have to warn you that to use the Chishi spell requires the life force of someone very close to this woman. This is the only way for there to be no rejection. However, the person who's giving life will have their longevity reduced. This kind of reduction isn't equal. You must give up 90% of your life for only a sliver of a chance of this woman recovering. However, this is only a sliver of a chance. If it doesn't succeed, your lifespan won't recover. Please think about it carefully. If you agree, I can take your request to the ancestor once. The surroundings were completely silent. The Xiong family ancestor's voice echoed across the heavens and earth and fell on everyone's ears. At this moment, all the cultivators in the All-Heaven star system heard his words. For a sliver of a chance for this woman to revive, he would have to give up most of his lifespan. Was this worth it or not? This question troubled the heart of every cultivator that heard it. Old Man Xiong really admired Wang Lin. He had no selfish goal or malicious intent when he said this before every cultivator in the All-Heaven star system. Wang Lin looked at the restriction ball in his hand. His gaze seemed to be able to penetrate it as he looked at Li Muwen and slowly said, "I agree." His voice was a bit hoarse. His gaze seemed to pierce the restriction ball and fell on Li Muwen. A sense of sadness filled the area. Li Muwen seemed to have heard his voice, and her body trembled gently and she tried to open her eyes. However, she had no strength, she only felt endless fatigue and sadness. Wang Lin knew that lifespan came from vitality. The stronger the vitality, the longer the lifespan. When a cultivator's cultivation level increases, their vitality increases. This was why powerful cultivators had long lives. Old Man Xiong nodded and said, "Since you agree, once the celestial bestowment is complete, follow me to planet Donglin." The reminiscence remained in Qing Shui's eyes. There was a hint of melancholy as he gently said, "Shu Mu, I'll go with you." Wang Lin looked at Qing Shui and his eyes revealed gratitude. He nodded. He knew that Qing Shui was worried about something happening to him at planet Donglin. Qing Shui decided to accompany him to ensure this matter proceeded smoothly. After this, the remaining people all made their requests. What was worth mentioning was that both Shu Ting and Nangong Han made the same request. They requested to enter the treasure pavilion to learn celestial spells. After everyone obtained their rewards, the celestial bestowment ended. The moment it ended, Master Flamespark's laughter echoed. He floated above his praying mat and waved his sleeve. His eyes shined and he shouted, "Fellow cultivators, help me open up the passage to the Alliance star system. The war is about to begin." Master Flamespark floated in the air as both his hand formed a seal and bursts of black light came out from his forehead. After these black lights appeared, they quickly grew into fragments of a continent. Dozens of celestial fragments instantly covered the sky and created an unimaginable pressure. This made every cultivator at the Thunder Celestial Temple activate their cultivation to resist the pressure. At first glance, it looked like the sky was divided. Rays of light came through from the gap in the intersection of the fragments. When all the cultivators in the Alheven star system saw this, their minds trembled and their blood began to boil. Master Flamespark's eyes revealed hatred he had been hiding for tens of thousands of years. He took a deep breath and opened his arm. As the fragments rotated, rumbling sounds came from the sky. This sound was extremely intense and caused the world to change colors. Countless fragments covered the sky. At this moment, as Master Flamespark's arms moved, they began to rotate slowly. They were slow at first and gradually became faster. The whistling sound suddenly began to spread farther and farther. It penetrated the Thunder Celestial Temple until the surrounding regions could all hear it. As these fragments rotated around a center, a vortex appeared in the sky. This vortex was very powerful and formed a storm. As the rumbling and whistling sounds continued, it created an earth-shaking scene. The clouds in the sky disappeared like crazy. The starry sky appeared as if it was being ripped open by a pair of giant hands. The vortex formed by the giant hands was extremely bright in the starry sky. The vortex expanded until it covered the entire sky above the Thunder Celestial Temple. This vortex contained an unimaginable power. This power would instantly kill a Nirvana Scryer cultivator. Even Nirvana Cleanser cultivators wouldn't be able to last long in there. As time passed, this power became even stronger and continued to gather within the depths of the vortex. Earth-shattering popping sounds continued to echo from inside the vortex. This sound was like the heartbeats of the cultivators. Every time this sound appeared, it would shake the minds of the cultivators here as if a giant hammer was pounding on their chests. They weren't the only ones. Almost all the cultivators in the All-Heaven star system could vaguely hear his sound. Every time this sound echoed, countless ripples would appear in the sky and spread endlessly. As the vortex grew bigger and bigger, the sounds coming from the vortex became unimaginably loud. This could be compared to thunder. This powerful sound was this extreme power hitting the spatial barrier. Master Flamespark's white hair flowed and he shouted, "Fellow cultivators, help me." The eyes of the old monsters on the praying mats all shined brightly, including blood gods. They all flew into the air and sat down before displaying their various spells. These spells entered the vortex, causing its power to increase several-fold. The popping sounds became even more intense and the rotational force had reached its limit. The force was like a sharp drill that constantly stabbed at the void, trying to break through. Master Flamespark's hands formed a seal and he shouted, "Power of the Thunder Realm." Thunder beasts appeared from the dozens of fragments. They let out roars before turning into bolts of thunder and charging at the center of the vortex. Boom! The sky trembled and the vortex expanded as it continued to rotate. A cold aura came from the vortex. The surrounding old monsters all formed seals. Li Yunzi's eyes lit up and he rushed out. His right hand gave off a white light as he charged directly into the vortex. There was a loud bang that sounded like a mirror shattering. Li Yunzi's body trembled, his face turned pale, and he retreated. The Shengong family ancestor stepped out. He slapped his forehead and a small flag flew out. There was a flash of light as it flew into the vortex. The sound of mirror shattering echoed once more. Blood God was covered in a bloodlight and rushed out into vortex with his fist before him. This punch gave off a harsh red glow and pierced into the vortex. The Xian family ancestor and the man named Gong Sun stepped forth. After that, various old monsters all attacked. For a while, the vortex began to expand even more and the sounds of explosions were endless. In the end, Master Flamespark bit the tip of his tongue and spat out essence blood. The blood turned into a blood mist and fused with the world. Master Flamespark's eyes were red as he shouted, "Land of the celestial realm, open the heavens and split the earth." Various illusory figures appeared above the dozens of fragments that were creating the giant vortex. These illusory figures were the souls sealed inside the fragments by Master Flamespark. After they appeared, they immediately entered the vortex and fused. At this moment, an unimaginable power appeared. What's most frightening about it was that there was a trace of G-realm within that power. This trace of G-realm came from Celestial Lord Qing Shui. The red lightning containing the power of the G-realm stabbed into the depths of the vortex with the support of this unimaginable power. Boom! The entire Thunder Celestial Temple trembled, the sky changed colors, and the clouds were blown away. All the cultivators in the All-Heaven star system saw a scene, the sound transmission stones that they would never forget in their lives. The vortex in the sky suddenly trembled and a small crack was torn open by force. Just as the crack appeared, it quickly spread, and in an instant it was over 100 feet wide. It was like a scar that would make your heart tremble. Black whirlwinds moved around the edges of the crack. It took so much effort to open a crack in the spatial barrier to the Alliance star system, so how could Master Flamespark allow it to close? He had waited too long for this day. His eyes were bloodshot and his face revealed a ferocious expression. His right hand formed a seal as he pointed at the sky and shouted, "Hold the heavens." Inside the vortex, one of the fragments suddenly shrank and instantly closed in on the crack. Then the fragment immediately grew. There was a loud rumble as the crack was forced to remain open by the fragment. However, the spatial barrier crack had a power no cultivator could resist. The fragment was immediately crushed and it collapsed. However, its collapse managed to stall the closing of the crack enough. Even more fragments went into the crack to prevent it from closing, and in the end the crack was slowly losing its ability to repair itself. As more fragments rushed in, the crack was mercilessly torn open and widened a lot. It widened by 1,000 feet. At this moment, the cultivators at the Thunder Celestial Temple were all in high spirits. Not only them, but all the cultivators in the All-Heaven star system saw this, and killing intent filled the All-Heaven star system. Outside the Thunder Celestial Temple, the armies on all four sides looked up and stared at the crack above them. An aura that didn't belong to the All-Heaven star system and one Wang Lin was very familiar with came from the crack. This aura was the aura of the Alliance star system. Bright stars that Wang Lin was very familiar with appeared in the crack. However, just at this moment, a roar suddenly came from the crack. This roar was very strong and formed a shockwave. It was like a roar from ancient times. A huge hand came out from the crack and grabbed one of the fragments. It ruthlessly squeezed and the fragment shattered. It's not an ancient god. Wang Lin's eyes narrowed. He didn't feel the aura of an ancient god from that giant hand. That giant hand didn't stop. It reached out and quickly moved and was about to close this 1,000-foot crack. However, just at this moment, a vague figure silently appeared outside the crack. This figure was extremely strange when it appeared. It was as if it had forced itself into existence before everyone's eyes. When Wang Lin saw this figure, his mind trembled. His pupils suddenly shrank. There was a flash of coldness in Qing Shui's eyes. The blurred figure that appeared was the person that stopped the battle between Qing Shui and Blood God. He appeared in a strange manner and mercilessly pointed at the giant hand. A powerful surge of source origin energy shot out. When Wang Lin saw this, he felt terror in his mind. It was as if everything in the world was frozen and that finger was the only thing that remained moving. The finger landed on the giant arm coming out from the crack. The giant arm immediately collapsed and turned back into source origin energy. Thou has opened the spatial barrier and violated the law of the ancient celestial realm. A mighty voice came from the crack. It became more and more distant until it eventually disappeared. "This old man wants to see if the ancient celestial realm really exists or not," a phantom voice said. It was calm, but it contained the might of a supreme ruler. The Alliance star system. Wang Lin looked at the familiar starry sky on the other side of the crack and silently pondered. He had left planet Suzaku a very long time ago. The moment the passage to the Alliance star system was opened, the crack was suddenly ripped open. It quickly expanded across the starry sky. At this moment, all the cultivators in the All-Heaven star system looked closely. Greedy gazes came from every single cultivation planet in the All-Heaven star system. It was as if those gazes could pierce the sound transmission stones and directly enter the Alliance star system. The battle between the All-Heaven star system and the Alliance star system begins. Master Flamespark smiled as his cry echoed across the All-Heaven star system. Master Flamespark's voice suddenly echoed, "The great cultivation army of the East, South, West, and North, slaughter your way into the Alliance star system. In 3 days, take 3 cultivation planets for our All-Heaven star system to use as bases." As his voice echoed, the army of 10,000 cultivators on the eastern side of the Thunder Celestial Temple quietly looked up. Under the command of the man in armor, all of them charged toward the crack like meteors. They were filled with killing intent as they charged into the Alliance star system. There were also 10,000 cultivators on the northern side that made their move. The armies in the west and the south sides follow suit. The sky was covered in sword energy as the cultivators slaughter their way into the Alliance star system. Thunder Celestial, Vice Thunder Celestial, and 108 Celestials. All of you, take your own command flags and enter the Alliance star system. Inside the Thunder Celestial Temple, the 108 Celestials immediately charged toward the crack in the sky like thunder. A powerful killing intent quickly filled the area. Kill. No one knew who shouted, but it caused the battle intent of the surrounding cultivators to reach a peak. All-Heaven star system, open the large transfer array. As Master Flamespark shouted, the sound transmission stones on all the cultivation planets collapsed, forming a large transfer array. One by one, cultivators walked into the transfer array under the leaders of their ancestors. When they reappeared, they were next to the crack to the Alliance star system. The moment they appeared, they immediately charged into the crack. Their eyes were filled with greed. As more and more cultivators entered the Alliance star system, a catastrophe slowly began. As Master Flamespark smiled, he stepped into the crack and arrived in the Alliance star system. The moment he arrived, his face revealed a monstrous hatred. "Zhong Xuanzi, this old man is back." A 10,000-foot crack appeared in the western side of the Alliance star system and emitted endless chill. Countless cultivators charged out of it and filled the sky. This was a battle between 2 star systems. There was no difference between good or evil. In the distance, a cultivation army was passing through. They had just received the approval to become a rank 6 cultivation country. They were about to head to their designated cultivation planet to establish their cultivation country. The scene before them caused the expressions of the Alliance star system cultivators to change greatly. The leader was a middle-aged man. His expression was gloomy, and as he shouted without any hesitation, "Scatter, everyone, retreat back to planet Xian-Ting on your own." Then he quickly retreated. The expressions of Alliance cultivators all changed, but while their eyes were gloomy, there weren't any traces of panic in them. This was the fundamental difference between the Alliance and All-Heaven cultivators. In the Alliance star system, slaughter was too ordinary. Those that could survive until now had all been through a lot. None of them weren't as sly as a fox and extremely cunning. At this moment, while their eyes were gloomy, they were also calm. Without the need for the middle-aged man's command, they had all long stopped and quickly spread out. Each cultivator escaped on their own without a care of the other's survival. There were even some cultivators whose eyes lit up as they escaped. They hoped to lure some pursuers and kill them for their treasures. All kinds of insidious plans flashed through their heads. The All-Heaven cultivators hadn't been organized yet. Some of them noticed this and quickly chased after the Alliance cultivators. One of the All-Heaven cultivators quickly used a spell while chasing, causing an escaping Alliance cultivator to cough out a large mouthful of blood. The Alliance cultivator became dispirited, even his speed slowed and his eyes were filled with despair. As the All-Heaven cultivator laughed, he took a step forward and closed in on the Alliance cultivator. However, the moment he closed in, the despair disappeared from the Alliance cultivator's eyes. Instead, the Alliance cultivator sneered and retaliated. After popping sounds were heard, a miserable groan echoed. In the end, it was the Alliance cultivator quickly flying off into the distance with a bag in his hand. Behind him, the All-Heaven cultivator's body collapsed and dissipated. This scene repeated with the other pursuers as well. Wang Lin looked at the cultivators entering the crack, but he didn't move. Old Man Xiong looked up at the crack and revealed a cold gaze. His body flickered and landed on the square and he said to Wang Lin, "Shu Mu, follow me. With the way you are, I presume you won't want to participate in the first wave." As he spoke, a cloud appeared under his feet and he flew off into the distance. Wang Lin's eyes were calm. This was true even without the matter with Li Muwen. He wouldn't be the first to enter. In this battle between two star systems, he had to remain cautious. When he looked back at Qing Shui stood up and arrived next to Wang Lin. He took Wang Lin and followed after Old Man Xiong. When Li Yunzi saw this, he hesitated for a bit. Then his gaze returned to the crack above. Old Man Xiong's cultivation was powerful, so obviously he was fast. In a few steps, he left the Thunder Celestial Temple and headed toward the Eastern Domain. Qing Shui casually followed behind. There were black winds around Wang Lin, so he wasn't slow at all. On the way, Old Man Xiong didn't speak at all. It was only after several days when they closed in on planet Donglin that he opened his mouth. "Shu Mu, it isn't easy for you to reach your current cultivation level. You have to make sure this is all worth it. Moreover, I'm not fully confident that my ancestor will help you, so you should be prepared." Wang Lin calmly said, "Junior understands." When Old Man Xiong heard this, he no longer spoke. Planet Donglin was a very mysterious existence in the All-Heaven star system. This planet was not at a fixed location and constantly moved. As Old Man Xiong flew, he would take out a red jade sometimes as if he was looking for something. On this day, under the guidance of Old Man Xiong, Wang Lin saw an extremely eye-catching cultivation planet in the distance. This planet was very large, even a bit larger than planet Tianyun. There were many large holes on the planet and it was a dark yellow color. Looking from afar, a powerful aura suddenly pressed toward him. This was Plant Donglin. There were dozens of smaller cultivation planets slowly rotating around it. Occasionally, flashes of restriction light came from planet Donglin. It was clear that there were extremely powerful restrictions there. If one entered without a method to break through, they would without a doubt die. Old Man Xiong's right hand formed a seal and pointed. One of the smaller planets around planet Donglin left its axis and flew toward Old Man Xiong. When it closed in, there was a flash of light and a transfer array formed. "Celestial Lord Qing Shui, Shu Mu, follow me." As he spoke, he stepped into the transfer array. Qing Shui entered along with Wang Lin. The moment the three entered the transfer array, there was a flash of light and the three of them disappeared. When they reappeared, they were on planet Donglin. A gentle breeze revealed the smell of blood. The entire planet gave off a sense of violence. Standing on planet Donglin, Wang Lin took a deep breath. The aura here was completely different from that of the other cultivation planets in the All-Heaven star system. Old Man Xiong didn't take them to the family house. Instead, he charged west. In the extreme western area, thousands of kilometers away, lied a very messy graveyard. The earth on the ground was dark red and gave off a dense smell of blood. Severed limbs were scattered across the area and bald vultures circled above. They would sometimes come down and tear some flesh off. Their gazes held no fear of people and were extremely cold. The deeper one went, the fewer severed limbs there were. There were disheveled graves everywhere densely packed together. Although Wang Lin's expression was calm, his heart was shocked. He had cultivated the soul refining sect's cultivation method, so he was very sensitive to souls. There were countless broken souls here. Even during its prime, the 1 billion soul flag had far less souls than this place. If I absorbed the souls here, I would be able to prepare the soul flag in an instant. Wang Lin looked around and silently pondered. The extremely western area of planet Donglin is forbidden and outsiders weren't allowed to enter. This is where one of the last Xiong family ancestors is in closed-door cultivation. Old man Xiong's voice was calm, but there was great sense of respect in his voice. Qing Shui frowned slightly as he looked around, but he didn't speak. As they moved forward, the three of them gradually entered the depths of this graveyard. The ground had turned from dark red to completely black. The ground was black and there was no trace of vitality. This was like the land of the dead where vitality had to be completely oppressed. While standing here, Wang Lin immediately felt very weak, as if the earth was absorbing his vitality. If he stayed here for too long, it was likely that all his vitality would disappear. There were no buildings on this black earth, it was just flat land. However, there was something that made Wang Lin's heart tremble. It was as if there was a death aura powerful enough to kill the heavens hidden underground. Old man Xiong took a deep breath. He revealed a very respectful expression and said, Xiong family member Xiong Yundong requests to meet the ancestor. Part 220. The earth trembled. Wang Lin could clearly feel a wave coming from underground. The trembling on the surface was caused by this wave. This wave was very powerful. When it reached the surface, it caused the entire planet to tremble violently. What is it? A calm voice echoed between the heavens and earth. Then an ancient aura suddenly filled the area. It was as if the voice wasn't coming from below them but from the void and through time. The voice sounded like it came from the ancient cultivation world from countless years ago. There was a flash of red light in Qing Shui's right eye. He looked down at the earth before him, but his expression didn't change. Old man Xiong respectfully said, the battle between the All-Heaven star system and the Alliance star system has begun. This person obtained rank 1 in the celestial title competition and obtained one promise from our Xiong family. However, what he requested is something Junior can't do. I was hoping that Senior would be willing to use the Qi Shi spell. After Xiong Yundong finished speaking, Wang Lin immediately felt an unimaginable divine sense suddenly lock onto him. Horrified, he forced himself not to retreat and calmed himself down as much as possible. This divine sense was simply too powerful, but it couldn't see through him completely. At this moment, the sliver of source origin energy from his third eye spread across his body. The divine sense scanned him once and then quickly retreated. Let him come down by himself, the ancient voice echoed. Then an even more intense rumbling sound came from the earth before them. A gap suddenly opened up in the ground, creating a deep gully. Xiong Yundong quickly nodded and turned around to look at Wang Lin. He originally was only 50% confident. After all, the ancestor had a strange attitude. The ancestor might not even care about the promise from the celestial title competition. Now that the ancestor had agreed, Xiong Yundong smiled and said, Shu Mu, go down. I'll wait for you here. Wang Lin nodded and looked at Qing Shui. Qing Shui's right eye shined bright red and he calmly said, if anyone dares to hurt you, then rivers of blood from people named Xiong will flow on planet Donglin. Although his voice was light, it was filled with killing intent. Xiong Yundong frowned and could only smile wryly in silence. Wang Lin revealed a hint of gratitude. In his life, there weren't many people he was grateful to. Sichu, Ju Yi, Dun Tian, Wan, and now Qing Shui. Wang Lin took a deep breath and clasped his hands at Qing Shui and Xiong Yundong. He then turned around and walked into the gully. This gully was very large. Wang Lin's eyes shined brightly as he continued to descend. The walls were smooth, but there was no sign of life inside. The gully was filled with the aura of death. As he continued to descend, the death aura became even stronger. In the end, the death aura surrounded the area and almost turned corporeal. It made Wang Lin feel extremely uncomfortable. He was like a small flame surrounded by cold wind. He could be extinguished any time by this cold wind. The death aura gradually grew violent as Wang Lin descended and drilled into his body. If it was anyone else, their body would have stiffened and their life would have been in danger. However, Wang Lin had cultivated the life and death domain when he was in the first step. In his early cultivation period, he cultivated the underworld ascension method, so he was very familiar with the death aura. At this moment, his origin energy cycled and the yin and yang fishes started rotating around him. The death aura was pushed away so he wouldn't be seriously injured by it. This gully was very deep, as if it had no end. Wang Lin moved very fast, but even after 7 minutes, he still couldn't see the bottom. His expression was calm as he operated the origin energy inside his body and activated his karma domain. After a long time, as the death aura became even dense, even the yin and yang fishes became affected and slowed down. However, at this moment, his body trembled as he landed on the ground. What appeared before him was a tunnel. This tunnel was completely dark without any light. Even with Wang Lin's cultivation, he couldn't see clearly, he could only see rough outlines. "Come here." The ancient voice echoed inside this quiet tunnel and gave off a strange feeling. Wang Lin silently pondered for a moment. Then his eyes became filled with determination and he walked down the passage. This tunnel wasn't very long. After walking for 7 minutes, Wang Lin arrived at the end. What he saw made his pupils suddenly shrink. Human skulls. Countless human skulls densely packed together. There was a very large area at the end of the tunnel. There was no end in sight, only the endless skulls that gave off intense chills. Everything before him was an impressive sea of human skulls. Even with Wang Lin's mental strength, his scalp tingled. He couldn't help but retreat 2 steps, and his face was filled with horror. There were simply too many human skulls here, too many to count. Enough for anyone's heart to tremble when they saw it. The dense death aura formed a storm that whistled through the sea of human skulls. Under the impact of the death aura, Wang Lin felt like his was going to suffocate. The horror in his eyes reached a peak. Within the storm at the center of the sea of human skulls, there was a man-made platform with an earth-yellow coffin on it. The wood of the coffin had some festered bits, but an almost crazy aura was coming from it. "What is your name?" An ancient voice came from the coffin and echoed in the area. Wang Lin took a deep breath as he suppressed the shock in his mind and the suffocating aura. He respectfully said, "Junior Shu Mu greets Senior. It is you who wants this old man to use the Qi spell?" It was impossible to tell if the voice was angry or happy, but a pressure was surrounding the area. Wang Lin calmed his heart and calmly said, "It is. I can help you, but just the promise from the Xiong family isn't enough. I want half of your life force." The ancient voice turned into divine sense. The moment it spread out, it caused the death aura in the surrounding area to become even more dense. Even the endless human skulls in the sea of skulls began to move. A ghostly light lit up within the eyes of countless human skulls. This scene was too strange. In Wang Lin's eyes, it was as if every single human skull had opened their eyes as if they had spirits. All of their gazes gathered on his body. The moment these unmeasurable gazes fell on him, the life force in Wang Lin's body collapsed and dissipated. Half of his hair went from black to white as snow. Wang Lin's appearance immediately aged at a visible rate from young man to middle-aged. A sense of weakness he had never felt before had appeared in Wang Lin's heart. Although his cultivation wasn't damaged, this feeling of weakness didn't disappear. The Xiong family ancestor's voice slowly drifted over. "Take out the person you want to save." Wang Lin silently pondered for a moment before he slapped his bag of holding and the restriction ball holding Li Muwen's nascent soul appeared. However, before it could fall into Wang Lin's hand, a tyrannical death aura rushed over and took the ball back into the center of the death storm. At this moment, Wang Lin forgot everything. He even forgot the fact the cultivation gap between the two was uncrossable. His eyes immediately became red and the red light came out from his third eye. "What are you going to do?" Wang Lin let out a roar as he charged out after the death aura that was wrapped around Li Muwen. A cold snort came from the coffin and another strand of death aura shot toward Wang Lin. At this moment, it was as if Wang Lin had gone crazy, and without any hesitation, he opened his third eye. The red light fanned out and landed on the death aura targeting Wang Lin. The death aura immediately collapsed. Wang Lin moved like lightning toward the restriction ball that Li Muwen was in. "Noisy. I took half your life force and I will now use the Qi spell." As the ancient voice echoed, Wang Lin's body stopped. He stared at the coffin before him and his eyes revealed coldness. Under the death aura, the restriction ball around Li Muwen collapsed. While Wang Lin felt a pain in his heart, Li Muwen's nascent soul wasn't injured as it floated in the air. So it turns out to be a broken nascent soul that lost all its life and was forced to remain. No wonder you came to this old man to use the Qi Shi spell. Wang Lin silently pondered and silently looked at the coffin before him. However, if I was at my peak and I used the Qi Shi spell, I could make it recover. Even if it was to awaken her, I would just barely be able to do it. However, right now this old man is only 30% confident. As he spoke, among the sea of skulls, many of their eyes lit up. Then death aura suddenly surrounded Wang Lin. Wang Lin didn't resist. As the death aura surrounded him, it pulled out strands of vitality from him. These strands of vitality were his lifespan. As his vitality disappeared, his hair turned white and fell off. His body gradually withered and his skin became filled with wrinkles. His face rapidly aged from middle-aged man until he became an old man. There was a faint trace of his original appearance hidden in his face. Wang Lin's eyes turned dim, and his weakness increased several-fold. He vaguely felt something calling him from the void. It was as if there was a power waving at him and wanted to take him away. After cultivating for over 1,000 years, how could Wang Lin not know what power this was? This was the heavens reincarnation cycle. He didn't have much lifespan left, and the heavens reincarnation cycle began to call him. Just like how it was with Li Muwen. When his lifespan ends, he will die. 1. Soul refining sect leader that took Wang Lin in. The death aura around his body absorbed a majority of his life force and then floated toward Li Muwen. The life force absorbed from Wang Lin was injected into Li Muwen through a mysterious method. The Xiong family ancestor slowly said, "The Qi Shi spell requires it to last 7 days. If this nascent soul can last 7 days, then it can naturally revive." Wang Lin silently pondered as he looked at Li Muwen's nascent soul. There was no regret in his heart. Li Muwen seemed to be able to perceive it all and her body trembled. Her nascent soul had no body, yet there was a silent sadness coming from inside it. The death aura around Li Muwen continued to inject life force into her. Her nascent soul began to slowly condense. Time slowly passed. The first day, the second day. However, on the third day, Li Muwen's gradually condensing nascent soul stopped condensing before the life force Wang Lin gave up was all used up. Xian family ancestor slowly said, "Unfortunately, the Qi Shi spell came from ancient times and can defy the heavens. This spell is very strong, and it can even bring a dead person back to life, provided that there is enough life force. The life force transferred by the Qi Shi spell is not equal, it is completely unequal. Qi Shi represents 7 days. For each day that passes, the life force required is 100 times greater than the previous day. The 7th day is the most crucial, and the amount of life force required is unimaginable. Your life force was only enough for 2 days. Even if I had taken more than half of your life force wouldn't be enough to last the 3rd day. Shumu, do you have anything that can increase life force?" Without the injection of life force, Li Muwen's nascent soul began to dissipate. This dissipation was faster and more intense than before, as if this time it was going to dissipate completely. "Continue to absorb my lifespan." Wang Lin looked at Li Muwen with a gentle gaze. This woman waited for him for hundreds of years because of one promise from him. Only this woman had made her way into his heart during these 1,000 years of cultivation. However, it wasn't until after she left and he had only memories to recall in his lonely journey that he realized that he always cared. He watched Li Muwen as he recalled the life and death situations and the sadness of being without a home. There was a distance between the two. It wasn't far, it was as if they were on opposite banks of a river. He was on one side and she was on the other. Between them was the unceasing pain that turned into the river between them. It was just that no matter how powerful the torrent in the river was, it was unable to wash away their firm gazes and patience. It was as if the zither music filled with sadness had appeared in his ears once more. The sound of zither music as the moon rose and the sun set seemed to set a bridge for Wang Lin and Li Muwen. It allowed the two to feel as if they could truly be intimate with each other. Then the death aura split up. One end wrapped around Li Muwen and the other end warped around Wang Lin. Life force was constantly drawn out from Wang Lin's body by the death aura and injected into Li Muwen's nascent soul. Even if it took tens of thousands times the life force to trade for a sliver of life force in Li Muwen, he would have no regret. He quietly looked at Li Muwen and revealed a gentle smile. His appearance rapidly aged and wrinkles covered his face. A large amount of life force was lost, and this made it feel as if he had lived through 1,000 years in an instant. There wasn't much life force left in Wang Lin's body. The speed of absorption made Wang Lin get an even clearer feel of the call from the heavens. He took a deep breath and an even more intense force erupted from his body. This outbreak seemed to form a life force storm that swept the area. This caused the eyes of the countless human skulls here to light up. Inside the coffin, the Xiong ancestor was startled. At this moment, the lid on the coffin opened, revealing a body that was like a dried-up corpse. A cold and ruthless gaze that was filled with death aura came from his eyes and landed on Wang Lin. In the Alliance star system on a cultivation planet, Wang Lin's original body was hiding in a cultivation sect, pretending to be a low-level disciple. Right now he was sitting in the lotus position as large amount of his life force was dissipating. However, his original body didn't try to stop this, he only looked up at the sky and remained silent. His forever cold eyes revealed a hint of softness like his avatar's eyes. The life force that entered his avatar from his original body was being rapidly consumed. As a result, Li Muwen's nascent soul began reforming once more. Time slowly passed. The third day, the fourth day. On the fifth day, Wang Lin's original body was completely dim. His red hair was now very dim and a large amount of his life force had been consumed. Even though his original body had the body of an ancient god, he couldn't withstand it anymore. After the fourth day of the Qi-Shi spell, Li Muwen's nascent soul had completely recondensed. The death aura was completely removed from her nascent soul. However, this sliver of vitality wasn't able to stabilize after Wang Lin ran out of life force. It was not enough to wake her up. 4 days was the limit. Wang Lin wasn't able to get past the 5th day. I can only do this much. You don't have enough life force, so you can't revive this nascent soul. The Xiong family ancestor calmly looked at Wang Lin before laying back down in the coffin. A death aura whirlwind wrapped around Li Muwen and Wang Lin. The whirlwind swept directly toward the gully and back out. During this process, Wang Lin's hands quickly formed seals and a large amount of restrictions surrounded Li Muwen's nascent soul. This caused the decay of that sliver of vitality in Li Muwen's nascent soul to slow down. The moment he came out from the gully, 2 gazes immediately concentrated on Wang Lin. When Qing Shui saw the current Wang Lin, he was startled but remained silent. As for Xiong Yundong, he seemed to already have known that this would happen. He looked at Wang Lin and withdrew his gaze. Wang Lin carefully put Li Muwen's nascent soul back into his body. He then looked at Qing Shui and calmly said, "Senior apprentice brother, let us go." Qing Shui let out a sigh and waved his sleeves. He took Wang Lin and they flew far away. Xiong Yundong looked at the direction Wang Lin disappeared to and revealed a smile as he muttered, "Shu Mu, although this old man has schemed against you, I didn't conceal it from you. With your knowledge, you should have already known that to recover that nascent soul, you need a large amount of vitality. So in the end, neither of us owe each other anything." Qing Shui and Wang Lin formed 2 rays of light as they flew across the starry sky. "Senior apprentice brother, do you know what this is?" While flying, Wang Lin silently pondered before slapping his bag of holding and the heaven-avoiding coffin flew out. Qing Shui's body stopped for a moment. His right eye flashed red as he looked at the heaven-avoiding coffin. After a long time, he said, "I have never seen this thing before, but there is powerful celestial spiritual energy coming from it, so it should be from the celestial realm. In addition, there is a special power inside. It is some kind of law. This item should have some healing abilities, right?" After hearing that not even Qing Shui knew what it was, Wang Lin let out a sigh. He put the coffin away and let out a sigh. "It should be used for healing, but I don't know how to use it." Qing Shui didn't question anymore. He looked at the stars in the distance, and after a moment of silence, he suddenly said, "Shu Mu, although you didn't enter the celestial pool, you did pass the test. After I enter the Alliance star system, it will very likely be very dangerous, so I'm afraid you can't accompany me. After entering the Alliance star system, you must rely on yourself." Wang Lin nodded, but his heart felt very bitter. He could feel that the call from the heavens was getting closer and closer. Call the wind, summon the rain, and magical arsenal. Out of the 3 spells, you already know Call the Wind. As for the other 2 spells, I'll teach them to you now. As Qing Shui spoke, his 2 fingers formed a sword and it pointed between Wang Lin's eyebrows. There was a sudden surge of celestial origin energy that entered Wang Lin's body. At the same time, all the information regarding Summon the Rain and Magical Arsenal appeared in Wang Lin's mind. Qing Shui's action was equal to passing down an inheritance. Inheritance and teaching was not the same. Only direct disciples would obtain an inheritance. This kind of direct passing of spells would make sure it was not lost. It would even reduce the amount of unnecessary steps and would allow the person inheriting it to obtain the deepest comprehension. Qing Shui looked at Wang Lin and let out a sigh. At the start, his actions toward Wang Lin were merely a way of repaying his master. Although his master was only joking, after he awakened, this was the only thing he could do. He didn't care too much for Wang Lin. Even when he saved Wang Lin, it was only for his master. Wang Lin didn't enter the celestial pool, which caused Qing Shui to be very disappointed. He had decided that the karma between Wang Lin and his master ended here. He had decided that he would single-mindedly pursue the cause of the collapse of the celestial realm and the reason for his madness. However, all of this changed when Wang Lin was willing to go as far as giving up almost all of his life force for a woman. This caused Qing Shui to recall the past. When he looked at Wang Lin, Qing Shui felt as if he was seeing himself. An unimaginable pain appeared in his head. He could never forget that after he awakened, he saw the pool of blood on the floor, his lover's closed eyes, and that beautiful face. At that moment, his heart collapsed. With a sense of melancholy, Qing Shui no longer looked at Wang Lin with the gaze of trying to repay his master like the past. There was now a trace of softness in his gaze. "You didn't enter the celestial pool. Without celestial origin energy, you can't display the full power of the celestial spells. Senior brother here has nothing to gift you, so I'll give you this celestial origin energy to help you cast celestial spells." The celestial origin energy that entered Wang Lin's body before wasn't retrieved by Qing Shui. Instead, it cycled through Wang Lin's body before turning into a golden beam that fell in Wang Lin's origin soul. This celestial origin energy is limited. Consider it a self-defense gift from me. Along with that, summon the rain crystal. Unless you meet the powerhouses of the Alliance star system, you will be able to protect yourself. At this moment, Wang Lin's mind was filled with Summon the Rain and Magical Arsenal. He was immersed in them as he continued to absorb and comprehend them. Qing Shu silently pondered. After a long time, he looked at Wang Lin, revealing a look of farewell. He slowly said, "You have lost too much life force. Senior brother isn't able to help you with this. All my spells are focused on battle and none can be used to heal. The only non-combat spell I learned from Master was Devour. You saw me use it back in the Thunder Celestial Realm. Now I'll pass it to you." As Qing Shu spoke, he placed his right hand between Wang Lin's eyebrows once more. The information about Devour entered Wang Lin's mind like crazy. This spell can be easily abused. Master hesitated a lot before teaching it to me. Now that you've learned it, you must only use it as a last resort. Qing Shui let out a sigh. Looking at Wang Lin's old face, he withdrew his right hand. Then he bit the tip of his tongue and drew a strange rune with his blood. The rune gave off a powerful scent of blood. The moment it appeared, all the dust in space quickly retreated. The loss of your life force is too serious. This rune can help protect you a bit. Qing Shui waved his right hand. The rune imprinted on Wang Lin's chest and disappeared. Wang Lin's body trembled violently. His appearance rapidly recovered, and a moment later, his appearance was restored aside from his white hair. His body no longer showed damage from the loss of life force, it was completely hidden. This rune can't be used to restore life force and can't be used on a soul. Otherwise, you wouldn't be like this. Qing Shui turned around, walked off into the stars, and gradually disappeared. Junior brother, from now on, be careful. The method to recovering the G realm is related to divine retribution. However, don't tread this path until you have reached the Nirvana Shatterer stage. Before then, avoid it. Qing Shui left. Wang Lin's body trembled and then he regained consciousness. Everything that was said echoed in his ears. He looked at where Qing Shui went toward and silently pondered for a long time. Wang Lin softly said, "Thank you." Wang Lin felt an indescribable feeling in his heart as he left. He didn't go back to the Thunder Celestial Temple to enter the crack into the Alliance star system. Instead, he merged with the world and found the closest abandoned planet. After making sure it was safe, he sat down inside a cave he made. His divine sense spread out and Ta Shan stepped out and sat down to guard the cave. Wang Lin slapped his bag of holding and the restriction ball holding Li Muwen landed in his palm. While staring at the restriction ball, Wang Lin's eyes revealed sadness. His left hand lightly stroked the restriction ball, causing it to open up and reveal Li Muwen's nascent soul, which had a sliver of life force. Even if I have to consume almost all my life, if it can be traded for even a glimmer of hope for you, I'm willing. Wang Lin's voice was calm, but it was filled with heart-wrenching pain. Li Muwen's nascent soul trembled slightly. Although she didn't have the strength to awaken, 2 streams of tears fell from her nascent soul's eyes. But nascent souls have no tears. The moment the tears appeared, they dissipate and not a single drop fell. However, they turned into powerful pain that lingered in the area. As Wang Lin stared at Li Muwen, a flash of light appeared between his eyebrows and the heaven-defying bead slowly formed. He placed Li Muwen's nascent soul inside the heaven-defying bead. However, Wang Lin trembled as he found that Li Muwen's nascent soul, now with a trace of life force, was still dissipating inside the heaven-defying bead. Although this dissipation was slow, it didn't stop. Wang Lin's face revealed bitterness. He silently pondered for a while before revealing a decisive expression. He slapped his bag of holding and the heaven-avoiding coffin flew out. The crystal coffin gave off a dazzling glow and was extremely gorgeous. Wang Lin's hand trembled as he took Li Muwen's nascent soul out from the heaven-defying bead. Although he had made up his mind, now he silently pondered once more. To let go or not to let go? Looking at Li Muwen's quickly dissipating nascent soul, Wang Lin placed Liet inside the coffin. The moment her nascent soul landed in the coffin, she went from sitting down to lying down. Wang Lin stared intently. He forgot about everything else around him. Right now only Li Muwen existed. The moment Li Muwen lied down, a mysterious force filled the coffin. This power surrounded the entire coffin. When it swept by, Li Muwen's nascent soul trembled and showed signs of collapse. However, just at this moment, the sliver of life force inside Li Muwen's nascent soul began to move and the collapse slowed. Eventually, a 5-colored light came from inside the coffin. At this moment, Wang Lin's heart experienced a huge change. He took a deep breath. With his intelligence, he immediately understood. If Li Muwen didn't have that trace of life force, she would have collapsed inside this heaven-avoiding coffin. This coffin seems to only have an effect on people's life force, even if it is only a sliver. The 5-colored light flashed inside the coffin. Shortly after, red strands appeared outside Li Muwen's nascent soul. The threads moved around her, forming the outline of her body. Then the 5-colored light condensed along the red lines to form the skeleton of a woman. In a short few breaths of time, Li Muwen's body formed before his eyes. She lied quietly in the coffin as if she was sleeping. Even her breathing existed. As Wang Lin looked at this, tears fell from his eyes. For this one gaze, Wang Lin felt it was all worth it. 3 days later, Wang Lin left this abandoned planet with Li Muwen and charged toward the Thunder Celestial Temple. Let us go home. Wang Lin's sorrowful voice spread across the stars. The sadness was so powerful that it lingered. In this short half a month, a bloodbath had begun in the Alliance star system. Starting from the west side of the Alliance star system, the All-Heaven Cultivator army rampaged across the system. Under the attacks of the All-Heaven Cultivators, cultivation planets fell one by one and the cultivators on them retreated. It was as if it was the end of the world. What was interesting was that the Cultivation Alliance didn't do anything. They weren't anxious at all, and it was as if they were just watching from the sidelines. The All Heaven side was very suspicious of this and couldn't determine the Alliance's attitude. Even Master Flamespark and company were filled with doubts. If the same thing happened in the All Heaven star system, the Thunder Celestial Temple would have organized a counterattack right away. They would have never given the other side a chance to gain a foothold to recover. Not only were the Cultivation Alliance remaining silent, but not even a single rank 7 cultivation planet had appeared. All the cultivation planets occupied by the All Heaven cultivators were rank 6. They couldn't find a single rank 7 planet. This strange case made the All Heaven cultivators even more confused. On the surface, the All Heaven side looked glorious. However, having to face the unknown and not being able to guess the other side's moves made all the old monsters from the All Heaven star system feel uneasy. This wasn't even the main point. During this half-month of fighting, the combat effectiveness of the rank 6 cultivation countries shocked the All Heaven cultivators greatly. Those bloodthirsty gazes, cunning plans, difficult to deal with treasures, and various other things all made the All Heaven cultivators suffer heavy losses. The profound contrast made them understand that if their cultivation levels were the same, the All Heaven cultivators would lose. What shocked the All Heaven cultivators even more was that all the Alliance cultivators killed decisively and were very experienced in combat. The All Heaven cultivators felt that every single Alliance cultivator was from planet Donglin. At this moment, a powerful aura suddenly burst out from an abandoned planet on the west side of the Alliance star system. Shortly after, a loud rumble echoed across the entire planet and spread like crazy. Fortunately, no one lived on this planet. Otherwise, no one would have been able to survive this fierce vibration. The earth trembled and the sea raged. It was as if the entire planet was on the brink of death. An excited laugh came from the planet, and along with it, even more violent popping sounds came. "I'm out. Damn it, little girls of planet Fengluan, just you all wait. You all forced me into closed-door cultivation for so long, you forced me to have no choice but to hide on this damned planet. We're not through yet." An extremely arrogant voice echoed across the world. At the same time, a figure rushed out from the interior of the planet. The clothes on his body were in tatters and his skin was dark and very dirty. He looked extremely messy, but his eyes were bright. He gave off a strange light that would take one's breath away. As he charged out, there were sonic booms going off. Large pieces of the planet began to collapse as if it couldn't hold on anymore. I almost died from suffocation. I don't even remember how long ago I entered closed-door cultivation. It is a pity that all my princesses must have died during this time. Planet Fengluan, this time I'm really angry. In one go, I cultivated until the early stage of Nirvana Scrya. I'm going to go be a king at Planet Fengluan. The figure cursed loudly in the air as if he wanted to vent all the anger he had accumulated over the years. Part 221. In the Alliance star system, Wang Lin had a head of white hair as he looked indifferently ahead. He slowly stepped forward. His pace wasn't fast, but there were ripples with each step and he traveled unmeasurable distances. While looking at the unfamiliar star system with a sense of familiarity, Wang Lin was calm. He had left this star system a very long time ago. When he left, he had just reached the Ascendant stage. When he returned, he was already at the Nirvana Scrya stage. All-Seer, Ling Tianhu. I, Wang Lin, have returned. Wang Lin's eyes shined. In his bag, he still had the key to the cave in the Demon Spirit Land. He had made sure to keep the key safe. Wang Lin's cultivation level wasn't high when he was still in the Alliance star system. The highest power he knew of was only rank 7 cultivation countries. However, now he was a Nirvana Scrya cultivator, and even in the All Heaven star system, he had caught the attention of the old monsters. Now that he had returned, he could set off a storm if he wanted to. However, Wang Lin was very clear that the Alliance couldn't be compared to All Heaven. The water in the Alliance was too deep. I must be cautious in the battle between the All Heaven star system and Alliance star system. I mustn't carelessly join in. Wang Lin's eyes lit up and he decided on a wait-and-see mentality. After returning to the Alliance star system, Wang Lin's caution immediately rose several folds. He knew that the cultivators of the Alliance star system, especially those old fellows, were all very cunning. Not to mention those that were at his cultivation level. If one was careless for even a moment, one could be devoured and not even know it. This place didn't have the cultivation family model of the All-Heaven star system. It was the law of the jungle, a cruel cultivation world. However, with my cultivation level after fusing with my original body, I will have no need to be timid in the Alliance star system. Wang Lin's eyes became cold. After returning to the Alliance star system, he immediately got in contact with his original body and determined each other's locations. As he walked, his divine sense spread out and surrounded the area. After a while, his expression changed. Along the way, he had been looking for an abandoned planet, and now had he found one. Ripples appeared under his feet as Wang Lin merged with the world and disappeared. When he appeared, he was on a desolate cultivation planet. It didn't have much spiritual energy, but the earth was filled with vitality. Looking around, the abandoned planet was covered in dense vegetation. When he found out that he needed life force to save Li Muwen, he didn't hesitate and chose to exchange his life force for the Qi Shi spell. All these hundreds of years of waiting were only for this one opportunity. He couldn't just give it up. This time, it would be considered both a success and failure. The success was that although Li Muwen hadn't revived, she had regained her body, so there was hope. Although Wang Lin had consumed a majority of his life force, he had other plans. Not even Qing Shui knew Wang Lin's backup plan. He even gave Wang Lin the rune that helped hide his current life force. Although Wang Lin looked like he hadn't aged, aside from his white hair, if the rune was broken, he would immediately age until he looked like a 1,000-year-old old man. The feeling of the heavens' reincarnation cycle calling him became even more powerful. However, Wang Lin's expression didn't change at all toward any of this. His body flickered and landed on this earth filled with vitality. After he landed, Wang Lin took a deep breath and sat down. Ta Shan stepped out from his shadow and sat down a few feet away. Ta Shan's eyes were cold. If there was the slightest movement that would harm Wang Lin, he would immediately attack. After letting out a big breath, Wang Lin raised his right hand and formed a seal. A black light began to gather on his index finger. At first, the black light was weak, but soon it was breathtaking. Finger of death, Wang Lin looked at the black light on his index finger. When he saw the third step, he knew that it would take too long to fix it, so he gave up on it. However, after hearing what Xiong Yundong said, that he needed a lot of vitality to save Li Muwen, Wang Lin immediately thought of the Finger of Death. This spell used a very tyrannical way to devour all life and turn it into spiritual energy for the user. Once the finger lands, all life will collapse. Wang Lin's eyes shined as he lowered his right finger and pressed it on the ground. In an instant, the black light spread out in a circle with Wang Lin as the center. The black light spread out. In an instant, it covered the surrounding 500 kilometers. The towering trees within the area gradually withered and the leaves fell. The branches immediately cracked and finally the trees shattered. Even the falling leaves dissipated as they fell. Only large amounts of white gas flew out from the towering trees as they fell. The white gas drifted for a moment before quickly gathering toward Wang Lin. Not only the towering trees, but even the grass withered as the black light spread. Their life force was turned into white gas that gathered toward Wang Lin. In almost an instant, all life within 500 kilometers was extinguished and all of their life force charged out. If one looked from above, they would immediately see this strange scene. The entire 500-kilometer area had withered and bursts of white gas had gathered around Wang Lin as if it was alive. Wang Lin's figure was surrounded by this dense, white gas, so his figure was no longer clear. Thunder flashed inside Wang Lin's eyes as he deeply inhaled. All the white gas seemed to have found an open vent when he inhaled. It immediately formed a vortex, and at the end of the vortex was Wang Lin's mouth. Endless white gas entered Wang Lin's body and gathered inside his body. It then turned into life force and nourished his whole body. At the same time, it recovered all the life force Wang Lin had spent. As he absorbed, the bloody rune began to flash and floated 3 inches from his body. However, there were still traces of light from it that covered Wang Lin's body, providing protection and hiding him. Half an hour later, the last trace of white gas entered Wang Lin's body. The white gas had disappeared completely. The area within 500 kilometers of him was yellow, the ground was dry, and all vitality had disappeared. What was strange was that outside of the 500 kilometers, everything was normal, and this formed a sharp contrast. It was as if these two areas were two different worlds. The spell that the Xiong family ancestor used must be similar to the Finger of Death, that allows them to absorb life force to use as their own. He was too careless and didn't think I saw through it. Wang Lin revealed a sneer. How could half of my life force be so easy to devour? There will be a day when I take it all back. I can devour life force too. There was a flash of coldness in Wang Lin's eyes before he closed them. The black light quickly expanded like crazy. 1,000 kilometers, 1,500 kilometers. In an instant, it surrounded a 2,500-kilometer area. Grass withered and trees collapsed within the 2,500-kilometer area. Even some demonic beasts weren't able to escape. A large python more than 100 feet long was immediately surrounded by the black light. Its body trembled, and when the black light passed, its body immediately disintegrated. Large amounts of white gas flew out and gathered toward Wang Lin. The expansion of the black light didn't stop, it continued. 3,000 kilometers, 4,000 kilometers, 5,000 kilometers. All life within 5,000 kilometers collapsed. The endless life force seemed to form a storm, and the center of the storm was Wang Lin. Large amounts of white gas entered Wang Lin's body. The red rune before his chest continued to rise until it was 10 inches away from his chest. Wang Lin's eyes opened as his left hand grabbed the rune and pulled it. He immediately ripped the rune from before his chest. The moment the rune was removed, Wang Lin's body was covered in a flash of light. He immediately became an old man and death aura surrounded him. However, all of this immediately reversed. The surrounding life force was immediately absorbed by Wang Lin. Wang Lin's withered body suddenly regained its luster and rapidly changed. At this moment in the western part of the Alliance star system, far away from the abandoned cultivation planet Wang Lin was on, was a cultivation planet. This cultivation planet was deep in the western region and close to the intersection with the southern region. From a distance, it was a half-wasted cultivation planet and there wasn't much spiritual energy in it. Several rays of sword energy circled the cultivation planet. There were cultivators on those sword energies, and they had a gloomy expressions. Their eyes were cold as they circled the planet and observed their surroundings. An oppressive aura continued to spread out. The cultivators on those sword energies weren't high-leveled, they were only nascent soul cultivators. However, the killing intent from their bodies was very strong as they circled the planet. Although their divine senses were scattered, there was a trace of worry in their eyes. It wasn't long before a ray of sword energy flew out from the cultivation planet. The person inside it was an old woman. Although her face was filled with wrinkles, it could be seen that she was very beautiful when she was young. If Wang Lin was here, he would find her familiar. The old woman's eyes were filled with worry. When she got close, a cultivator closed in and respectfully said, "Greetings Uncle Master by Shui." The old woman nodded as she looked into the distance and slowly said, "You must be cautious. If something abnormal happens, you must immediately report it. Right now there is war, and my planet Suzaku is too close to the All-Heaven cultivators. It is a moment of life and death." The cultivator's body trembled and he lowered his head in acknowledgement. The old woman let out a sigh. She was about to speak when her expression changed greatly. Her eyes shined brightly as she stared into the distance. This caught the attention of the other cultivators. When they looked over, their faces turned pale, but their monstrous killing intent quickly gathered. Rays of sword energy came from the stars in the distance. There were several hundred cultivators heading toward planet Suzaku. The one leading them was a big-headed boy. He flew across the stars with a silly smile on his face. This big-headed boy had already seen the half-wasted cultivation planet from far away. From his understanding of the Alliance star system, this kind of planet should be a rank 6 cultivation planet. With his cultivation level, a rank 6 cultivation country wasn't worthy of his attention, and not to mention he had hundreds of cultivators with him. The only reason he was here was because he was passing by. His real mission was to be the first wave of cultivators to enter the southern region and scout the situation there. As he slowly approached, the expression of the old woman outside planet Suzaku became gloomy. Along with her were the other cultivators. They used their fast speed to return to planet Suzaku. When he saw this, the big-headed boy laughed and the foolish smile on his face became even stronger. Not only him, but even the all-heaven cultivators before him also laughed. In their eyes, this kind of cultivation planet was simply too weak. Any illusory yin cultivator could slaughter the entire planet. Celestial messenger, let us two brothers go to this planet. A middle-aged man walked out from behind the big-headed boy. His wasn't even at the illusory yin stage, only at the peak of the late stage of ascendant. His gaze toward the big-headed boy was filled with respect. A person followed behind the middle-aged man. The two of them looked every alike. The big-headed boy swept planet Suzaku with his divine sense and revealed a hint of contempt. If he wanted to destroy this planet, it would be too easy. He simply said, "I'll give you 15 minutes. Kill all the cultivators here for me." The two brothers laughed. One of them said, "Celestial messenger, rest assured. With a cultivation planet like this, there is no need for 15 minutes. We'll only need 7. With that, he charged like a meteor toward planet Suzaku. His brother followed him with killing intent. In the blink of an eye, the two broke through the atmosphere and arrived above planet Suzaku. Ju Wutai stood at the peak of Mount Suzaku. His eyes were like lightning and a powerful aura surged from his body. A slender sword floated before him as he stood on the peak and revealed a determined look. Cultivators stood silently behind him. Only a few of these cultivators were people who Wang Lin had met. All of them had improved over the hundreds of years that had passed. The old woman named by Shui descended from the sky. As the elder of the Immortals Path sect, planet Suzaku was her home, so she had to protect it no matter what. It is worth mentioning that one of the old men, one wearing a yellow robe, had the air of a celestial to him and he carried a sword on his back. However, he was near the back, so it was obvious that his status among them wasn't very high. If Wang Lin saw this person, he would be shocked. He was the sect leader of the Hangyu sect, Huang Long. At this moment, he had a serious expression, and there was no hint of it being fake. However, there were flashes of amusement in it, but no one could see through him. Since fellow cultivator Wang Lin left the position of Suzaku to me, I promised that I'd live and die with planet Suzaku. Today the enemy is before us. Even if I'm destroyed, I won't retreat even half a step. There were 2 ascendant cultivators behind Ju Wutai. They were both old men, and if Wang Lin was here, he would be able to recognize them. The 2 of them let out sighs. They looked at each other and revealed firm gazes. There was no way to escape. This wasn't a simple war but a battle between 2 star systems. They found out about this after receiving the information from the Cultivation Alliance. Fortunately, they had prepared some things for this, or else they would without a doubt die. On the other side of planet Suzaku, Yunquezi opened his eyes after hundreds of years of closed-door cultivation. He looked much older and his tattoo flashed on his forehead. He stood up and took a step forward. Then he appeared in the air and looked ahead. The Forsaken Immortal clan gathered one by one behind him, their expressions extremely serious. At the same time, some of the cultivators that never bothered with worldly affairs walked out. They looked at the sky as an oppressive aura appeared. This oppression felt like mountains falling from the sky. Anyone who dared to resist would be crushed. In the Cloud Sky sect, 2, Tai Yang, 3, was already old and his eyes were dim. His body was surrounded with death aura as his lifespan was about to reach its limit. He struggled to stand at the square of the Cloud Sky sect and silently looked at the sky. At this moment, all the cultivators on planet Suzaku looked up at the sky. The various cultivators in the sects from rank 5 to rank 3 all looked at the sky with serious expressions. The 2 meteors representing a catastrophe for planet Suzaku had descended. The 2 meteors were the 2 brothers from the All-Heaven star system. The moment the 2 brothers arrived, they laughed like crazy. Their laughter was extremely arrogant. The two of them did have the qualifications to do so. On planet Suzaku, a peak late-stage ascendant cultivators was a powerful force, and because they came as a pair, they were a formidable force. Even this abandoned planet has so many cultivators. If it was in my all-heaven star system, no one would even bother occupying this kind of planet. The Alliance star system is only SOSO. As the laughter spread, one of them spread their power like crazy and his divine scene stormed across planet Suzaku. At this instant, the powerhouses of planet Suzaku, Yunkeizi, Ju-Wutai, and other ascendant cultivators, quickly flew into the air. They were prepared for war. However, just at this moment, the cultivator who spread out his divine sense swept past the cloud sky sect, and it was as if he was struck by lightning. It was as if tens of thousands of thunder bolts had exploded next to his ears, causing him to become unsteady. His mind trembled, eyes bulged, and an expression of disbelief appeared on his face. Even fear began to spread through his body like crazy. This is. There was a huge statue located at the gate of the Cloud Sky sect. This was a statue of Wang Lin. This very lifelike statue accurately displayed Wang Lin's appearance. In particular, the coldness from his eyes that could pierce one's bones. When the other all-heaven cultivator saw his brother's expression, he was shocked. His divine sense spread out and locked onto the statue. His body trembled and the terror he revealed was 10 times, 100 times stronger. Demon. Master Demon Shu Mu. The two of their scalps immediately tingled and their hearts pounded. They looked at each other in disbelief and saw the panic in each other's eyes. The name Master Demon Shu Mu was simply too famous in the all-heaven star system. During the celestial title competition, he had gained the position of Thunder Celestial and could command 3,000 cultivators. This kind of prestige wasn't something a normal person could obtain. Forget them, even their ancestors would have to be respectful when meeting Master Demon Shu Mu. Even the celestial messenger, the big-headed boy, would tremble before Master Demon Shu Mu. The two of them complained inside their hearts. Their arrogance and killing intent disappeared and was replaced with panic. The two of them didn't hesitate to quickly flee. They were too aware of what Master Demon Shu Mu meant. This name represented slaughter, endless slaughter. To go against this person meant you would without a doubt die. Celestial Lord Qing Shui's junior brother, a Thunder Celestial, #1 among the juniors of the All-Heaven cultivators, benefactor to countless cultivation families, and the one who caused the Yarrow family to suffer heavy losses after being hunted by them. Any of those accomplishments was enough to make these two brothers die countless times. At this moment, they didn't even bother questioning what was going on. After losing their wits, they just wanted to leave as soon as possible. With their intelligence, they were sure they weren't mistaken. That statue was Shu Mu. No matter how much courage was given to them, they wouldn't dare to provoke Shu Mu. As for why Shu Mu's statue was here and obviously worshipped was something they didn't want to know. The regret in their hearts was already monstrous. If they had known, they would have never come here, because this kind of thing would definitely offend Shu Mu. The rapid retreat of the two brothers shocked all the cultivators on planet Suzaku. This was especially true for Ju-Wutai, who was prepared for a difficult battle. The sudden change in the situation startled him. Not only him, but even the Forsaken Immortal clan was greatly shocked. Only Yun Kei's eyes narrowed as he looked toward the Cloud Sky sect. On planet Suzaku, he had the most seniority, and his cultivation level had increased a lot over the years. The two cultivators from the All-Heaven star system only fled once their divine senses locked onto the Cloud Sky sect. Cloud Sky sect. What item is there to scare away two powerful peak late ascendant cultivators? And from the expressions of those two, they were scared out of their wits. Yun Keizi saw with his own eyes the panic on the faces of the two escaping cultivators. This made him extremely shocked. His divine sense spread out and suddenly locked onto Wang Lin's statue in the Cloud Sky sect. Could it be? Yun Kei's eyes opened wide, but his heart was filled with disbelief. Ju-Wutai and some other old monsters also thought of this point. These people were all astute. After pondering a bit, they all noticed the problem. Their divine senses had spread out and locked onto the Cloud Sky sect. Tai Yang looked at Wang Lin's statue. His eyes were filled with excitement as he muttered, "Benefactor, it must be my benefactor." As for the two All-Heaven brothers, they panicked as they flew out from planet Suzaku. They immediately saw the big-headed cultivator and the cultivators behind him. The big-headed boy had his eyes closed. He opened them and frowned before he calmly asked, "What's wrong?" 1. Wang Lin's original sect. 2. Place where Li Muwen stayed and met Wang Lin again. 3. Guy who reached the soul formation stage with Wang Lin's help. On the abandoned planet, everything within 50,000 kilometers of Wang Lin had completely withered. The earth was cracked and all the vitality was devoured by him. His body was rapidly changing. As he continued to absorb the large amount of life force, his appearance was restored to normal and the life force in his body recovered. He opened his eyes, which were filled with lightning, took a deep breath, and muttered, "There are drawbacks to relying on the finger of death to recover life force." After silently pondering for a while, Wang Lin stood up and left the abandoned planet with one step. Ta Shan moved in a flash and disappeared into Wang Lin's shadow. Planet Suzaku, ripples appeared under Wang Lin's feet and he merged with the world. Outside planet Suzaku, the big-headed boy's question had just entered the ears of the two All-Heaven cultivators. The two cultivators suppressed the panic in their hearts. One of them quickly said, "Celestial Messenger, we saw a statue on this cultivation planet. I told you two to slaughter the planet, not to view some statue." The big-headed boy directly interrupted them and his eyes turned cold. Even though he still had that foolish smile, it was filled with killing intent. The cultivator was about to speak when his brother pulled him. He looked at the big-headed boy and respectfully said, "Lord Celestial Messenger, you should personally see the statue, then you will understand why we came back." With that, he no longer looked at the big-headed boy and pulled his brother back into the group of cultivators. The big-headed boy gloomily looked at the two of them. He took a step and headed straight toward planet Suzaku. Originally, he would never step onto a half-abandoned planet like this. When they encountered planets similar to this, he always sent his subordinates to slaughter the planet before leaving. In his eyes, he should only use his spells on rank 7 planet. Unfortunately, I haven't encountered any rank 7 cultivation planets. I want to see what kind of person on this abandoned planet could make 2 peak late-stage ascendant cultivators run. The big-headed boy let out a cold snort. His body didn't close in on the planet, but his divine sense spread out. His was at the early stage of Nirvana Scrya and he had chosen to enter the celestial pool. He lost his domain, but now he had a celestial origin. He secretly used several celestial spells before. The power he saw made him pleasantly surprised. At this moment, his divine sense spread out and formed a powerful storm that swept across planet Suzaku. This divine sense was so strong that it caused a never-before-seen uproar on planet Suzaku. Several mountain peaks immediately collapsed and the rivers seemed to boil as monstrous waves crashed into each other. All the cultivators on planet Suzaku felt as if a large mountain had smashed down on top of them. This divine sense spread out and turned into countless bolts of thunder that spread to every corner of the planet. This immediately made it look as if planet Suzaku was facing the apocalypse. The violent divine sense turned into black clouds that covered the sky and mercilessly pressed down. The several ascendant cultivators immediately trembled. It was as if their origin souls were going to collapse. As for the soul transformation cultivators, they coughed out blood and became dispirited. The core formation cultivators immediately trembled and cracks appeared on their cores. Their faces became pale and revealed despair. Blood mist burst out from those cultivators who were at the foundation establishment and chi condensation stages. They fell to the ground and became extremely weak. If cultivators were like this, there was no need to talk about mortals. All the mortals on planet Suzaku passed out. The only thing left in their minds was the echo of the thunderous rumbles. In an instant, planet Suzaku was silent. This was only because the big-headed cultivator didn't want to slaughter mortals. Otherwise, with just a sweep of his divine sense, everything would die. Under the assault of his divine sense, only a few select people were still struggling. Ju Wutai had the bloodline of a dragon and had inherited the cultivation planet crystal. At this moment, He let out a roar and green light covered his body. The green light turned into green scales and a powerful aura burst from his body. In the sky, a 1,000-foot-long green dragon appeared and let out a roar toward the sky. Yun-Kazi was covered in golden tattoos. His expression was pale and the veins on his face bulged. At this moment, he had the illusion that he was facing the heavens and earth. Roar. Although Yun-Kazi was old, he let out a roar. The illusory shadow of a towering tree appeared in the sky. The tree gave off a powerful aura and continued to rise. Under this intense pressure, he was experiencing a breakthrough. It was as if there was a thought in this divine sense that made him yield. It was as if this thought came from an imprint deep within his soul. A cold snort came from the sky. The moment this snort appeared, it created sonic booms. The earth shook and it felt as if the sky was turning upside down. Yun-Kazi's body trembled and he coughed out a large mouthful of blood. All the tattoos around him collapsed and he revealed a miserable smile. It wasn't due to the other party's power, it was an instinct from within his body that made him yield. The big-headed boy had a calm expression as he descended with his hand behind his back. The wind blew toward him but immediately blew in reverse as if the wind didn't dare to approach him. In the eyes of the cultivators of planet Suzaku, an inconceivably powerful energy slowly spread as the big-headed boy descended. A wasted cultivation planet. Everyone here is a bunch of rubbish. What is the use of keeping all of you? Since you all have met me, let me send you off. The big-headed boy raised his finger and casually pointed. Dense celestial spiritual energy gathered on his finger until there was a golden glow. This golden light contained a terrifying celestial spell. In the distance, the dragon formed by Ju Wutai was pierced by a golden beam. It let out a miserable groan and the dragon that was the guardian of planet Suzaku let out an unwilling howl and collapsed. Ju Wutai's body trembled and he coughed out blood. However, his eyes were filled with battle intent. Just at this moment, the big-headed boy's body trembled. He had spread out his divine sense to look for a statue. Right now he saw a giant statue in a sect. When he saw this statue, even with his mental strength, he couldn't help but gasp, and his eyes were filled with terror. This. He was so startled that he almost subconsciously retreated several steps. His heart pounded and his expression rapidly changed. He never expected to see Shu Mu's statue here. What Shu Mu brought him was a nightmare. Back in the one line to heaven, he died to Shu Mu without any chance of fighting back. He was still terrified of that thunder spell that made his scalp tingle. Even after he entered the celestial pool, he didn't dare to provoke Shu Mu. Every time he thought of that incredible spell, he would feel terrified. At this moment, he took a deep breath and disappeared. When he reappeared, he was in the sky above the cloud sky sect and he stared at Wang Lin's statue. The more he looked, the more shocked he felt. The more he looked, the more his heart trembled. Master Demon Shu Mu. The big-headed boy became pale as he stared at the statue. He was completely sure that this statue was Shu Mu. After all, he had died by Shu Mu's hand, so Shu Mu's appearance was engraved in his heart. He stared dumbfoundedly at the statue. The big-headed boy understood why those two cultivators ran away. Shu Mu was too famous, and even he couldn't help but feel the urge to leave. Tai Yang was sitting in the square next to the statue. He stared at the statue and sneered. The heavily injured Yun-Kazi's eyes lit up. He naturally saw the big-headed boy's expression. When he saw that the big-headed boy also became startled before the statue of the little boy, Wang Lin, Yun-Kazi was filled with shock. Could these all-heaven cultivators know that little boy, Wang Lin? However, that wouldn't explain this expression, unless an idea that even Yun-Kazi himself thought was extremely absurd appeared in his mind. Ju Wutai was the same. He was heavily injured, but in order to fulfill the promise he made to Wang Lin, he was going to give it his all. As long as the Suzaku existed, the people would live. If the Suzaku was gone, then they all would die. As for the big-headed boy, his mind trembled as he stared at Wang Lin's statue. He was completely terrified of Wang Lin. While standing there and staring at Wang Lin's statue, all the hair on his body stood up. It was as if he was facing the real Wang Lin. He subconsciously retreated several dozen feet and his expression became gloomy. I really can't provoke Shu Mu for an abandoned cultivation planet. However, this statue of Shu Mu seems to have existed for hundreds of years. This Shu Mu isn't someone from the All-Heaven star system. He is a cultivator from the Alliance star system. That must be it. The big-headed boy's heart pounded like crazy. He felt he had gotten hold of a big secret. With this, he could ruin Shu Mu and maybe even cause Shu Mu to lose his life. The big-headed boy laughed like crazy, then his eyes lit up and he took a step forward. He arrived next to the statue and raised his hand. Then he mercilessly slammed down and shouted, "Break for me." He didn't dare to provoke Shu Mu and could only do this to vent his anger. Just at the moment he raised his hand, Tai Yang, who was sitting under that statue and still had blood flowing from his mouth, looked up at the big-headed boy. There was no fear in his eyes and he coldly said, "If you destroy Benefactor's statue, you will without a doubt die." The big-headed boy's right hand paused and his gaze landed on Tai Yang. He had already seen that Tai Yang's lifespan was about to run out. He sneered. "Not to mention destroying a statue, even if Shu Mu comes personally, I won't care." He raised his right hand and was about to slam down, but at this moment a voice colder than the winter ice echoed across planet Suzaku. "Say that again." This voice was cold enough to freeze the world. "Shu Mu." It was as if someone had hit the big-headed boy on the head. His expression became pale and he retreated without any hesitation. His mind trembled violently as he had lost his wits. "I can't battle, must retreat." As he retreated, he coughed out a large mouthful of blood. Without hesitation, he used the blood escape that would harm his cultivation. After one line to heaven, he feared Shu Mu from the depths of his heart. Benefactor. Tai Yang's eyes were filled with hundreds of years of excitement. 2 streams of tears fell from his eyes when he saw the figure that had walked out from the ripples next to the statue. Yun Keizi gasped. "Wang Lin, Wang Lin." Ju Wutai's eyes revealed shock and ecstasy. Wang Lin. At this moment, all the cultivators that had awakened and noticed this were shocked. Wang Lin, planet Suzaku's true ancestor. "You can't escape." Wang Lin's eyes revealed monstrous killing intent and he took a step forward. This video will end here.